Hey, been a while since I've done a video, and this is something that I wanted to do. I wanted to talk about, as it says, my deck building philosophy, and I figured what best way to do it than through a PowerPoint, as that's probably the most qualified way I have to try and present something like this. In this video, my goal is to lay out how I build my decks to allow for smooth gameplay and what I feel sets me up for the best chance of winning an EDH or Commander game. I do want to start by saying that this is just what works for me, and that depending on your LGS or your playgroup, your results may vary. Now, let's get started. Now, the first question on this is, what does a deck need? Broadly speaking, it's going to fall into three categories: card advantage, proper mana, and ways to handle your opponents. Card advantage sounds simple enough, drawing cards, but it is more than that. You can get card advantage from using removal spells that get rid of multiple things from your opponents, with something like Windgrace's Judgment, or virtual card advantage from using an ability on the field, like with Selesnya Guildmage, to make a token. Both of these are going to get you more value than just the one card, and using all three in tandem will provide great results. Proper mana includes running enough lands to cast your spells, being able to ramp up on mana to cast more spells or bigger spells, as well as not having idle mana on your opponent's turns, or using methods to keep mana available without it going to waste. Ways to handle your opponents harkens back to the multi-target removal statement from earlier, but it also encompasses efficient or flexible removal, stacks effects to hinder your opponent or hinder an opposing game plan, such as Rule of Law, as well as ways to protect your game plan from opponents. The second question is, well, why do I need these in my deck? For card advantage, specifically drawing cards, allows you to have access to more of your deck during the game and lets you cast more of your spells to further your board state. Especially in Commander, multi-target removal is key, since often one-for-one removal does not feel very good, where multiple threats are often going to be presented by your opponents. By hitting multiple things off the board, or even clearing the board entirely with something like Wrath of God, it lets you keep up with the multitude of things and threats that are being thrown out and what's going on. And by utilizing abilities on your board to get value, it means that you're not overcommitting your other resources like cards in hand, meaning that if someone else decides a board clears what's needed in order for them to handle the game, you can be ready to deploy new threats and then just continue onward with the game. Proper mana in both land count and the types of mana your lands create lets you ensure you can play spells on curve and makes it so you don't have early developing turns going to waste. Early developing turns are a great way to utilize ramping with stuff such as green land search effects like Rampant Growth, or using mana dorks or mana rocks such as Arcane Signet and Elvish Mystic. They'll allow you to have more explosive turns later by being able to cast multiple spells in a turn, or one really big haymaker way ahead of schedule, letting you have a better grip on progressing the board into something that's going to be a win for you. Having untapped lands on your opponent's turn is fine, as long as the mana is getting used by a spell or an ability, but letting that mana go unspent is mana wasted and it just can't be gotten back. Utilizing treasure tokens helps offset this issue, since they are a one-time use anyways, so they're not really wasted if they make it back to you after a turn cycle. Ways to handle your opponents are key in making sure you're able to maintain a win. Running efficient removal will let you deal with a threat while still being able to deploy your own. Swords to Plowshares is one of the best examples. That's only one mana. Whereas flexible removal like Generous Gift can cost more mana, but usually being able to handle any permanent or multiple different permanent types means you're ready for more options from what your opponents are going to be able to dish out. Removal is easily going to let you win games by getting rid of big threats. Stacks helps you with slowing the game down, especially in a more control style or slower deck. In general, effects like Gaddock Teeg or Deafening Silence can slow the pace of the game to give you more time to set up your win condition, so that way you're not being overran too quickly. And continuing on stacks, an example from one of my own decks I had is that I used to run Deafening Silence and Rule of Law when I was playing Lyn Sivy Defiant Hero. As you can see, her ability and most other rebels are an activated ability that let you search for rebels and put them directly into play. So since I was activating abilities to search my rebels out and not actually casting them, Deafening Silence and Rule of Law were essentially one-sided against my opponents, allowing me to get around the downside that they can present. Protection spells work kind of in the opposite way, by letting you get around your opponent's removal to be able to progress yourself, such as casting Heroic Intervention when a board wipe is cast, or even just an Eternal Witness to get back a key piece that was removed and put it earlier back into hand. Protection's able to pretty much just kind of buy you back into a winning position. If a board clear was going to make sure you couldn't kill that player next turn, Heroic Intervention ensures that you still will. If a combo piece was removed, Eternal Witness is able to get that combo piece back, so that way you can keep things moving forward. The last and hardest question is, how much of these do I need in a deck? And it really doesn't have a concrete answer, in my opinion. There are some suggestions that I've compiled as some general ranges, but it's going to depend on the specific deck you're playing. It's going to depend on the play group, and it's going to really just require a lot of just you playing games and getting testing done to see what feels right for your deck. For my recommendations, though, for card advantage, I recommend somewhere around 10 to 15 card draw sources, 6 to 8 multi-target removal spells, and 6 to 8 different ways to spend mana other than spells. For proper mana, I recommend somewhere between 35 and 41 lands, and 10 to 15 ramp sources. And then for ways for handling your opponents, I recommend somewhere around 2 to 5 stacks type of effects, 8 to 13 removal spells, with some combination of flexible and efficient removals being thrown in, and then 5 to 8 protection spells or recursion spells in order to get your stuff back. Thanks for watching and listening. This is a video that I've really wanted to make for a while, and I finally had the motivation to get it done. I just want to reiterate again, this is not saying that this is something that anyone has to do, or this is, the correct way to build a deck. This is just what I found tends to work for me and lets me have generally the best gameplay experiences that I can get. It's going to be all down, though, to you, your play group, and the deck itself, if this is going to be what you're going to need. That's pretty much it. I do intend on making more Magic the Gathering, specifically Commander-focused videos as well in the near future. I'm not sure entirely how I want to handle those videos or what they're going to exactly be about. But this was just kind of getting my feet wet more in making videos and things like this. So again, thank you guys for watching, and y'all will be seeing more videos soon.